He also wanted more equity. We'll talk about that when we're not on YouTube. And and now he's closed another hospital, and he's about to close 2 more before Christmas. It's coincidental. Remember, everybody's running to the door for Christmas for all the wrong reasons, and you're set up perfectly. It's like a fire drill. They're all running for the doors. And but he wasted, you heard him say he wasted 6 months on one deal. Actually, I was thinking 7, okay? And I'm pounding him every fucking, and then when you run towards the end of the mentor program, you go into panic mode. But everybody's the same. And now he controls ostensibly 35% of the hospital market. So now he can really become a monopoly and squeeze people, but that's down the road a little when they have no choice. And the reason why it's fucked up is because it's a former Iron Curtain country, and everything ran on bribes, not dissimilar to a lot of other places. And it was easy. The owners that had formed the hospital, they're old now. Who's going to take it over? Normally hospitals are started by 10, 20, 30 doctors, which don't know a fucking thing. And the classic poor managers, mismanagers on the planet are physicians. They are also the biggest losers of investment categorized in the world, doctors. So, you could look at it, they're the easiest to knock off in a good way. You're doing them a favor. You're taking these assets off their hands. And now he's about to have 4 of the hospitals. But the second deal, from a different investor, not the same guy. I thought when he told me, because then he came into the hardcore, and so I was still getting monthly reports, I just assumed. Assumptions is the mother of all fuck. He couldn't find another fucking Nimrod like that, I thought. I'm thinking, processing in my own head. And then it's a different guy. It's a second Nimrod. They put up more money. But he saw the results of the first guy that put up the money, who is a well-known investor. So it's easier to get the second dipshit because he saw the first dipshit, and they're not considered dipshits. These are savvy finance guys. And he suffers from familiarity, breeds contempt, because down deep inside, he had 20 years of, he's got to be nice to you, so you hire him to write the paper. And not each and every one of you, but many of you in the room are from different jobs or training like that. You can't be a shithead if you're a dentist. You can't, nobody's going to come and let you yank their teeth. You can't be a shithead if you're fixing their eyeballs. Nobody's going to, same thing. But you got to be a shithead to do this. You got to be selfish. You want your needs more than their needs. Otherwise, you're going to have a tough fucking time. Not impossible. It'll take you, I told you the longest, it'll take you 12 years. One of the nicest human beings in the world, it took him 12 years. He's a prince among men. He gets honorary awards and shit for, humanitarian of the year and shit like that. 12 fucking years to close a goddamn deal. So he can take all those honorary bullshit, he can shove them up his ass. Because that's what they're worth. I never got I got one man of the year, I stand corrected. But a humanitarian of the year, I sure as shit never got. There's probably some of you in this room that got some shit like that. And it's shit. That's what you get when you're 70, 75, 80 years old. If you've already got it, you did something wrong. What is the takeaway from listening to the young guy? He's not Balmer, right? He's not an alpha male, right? He's just like a cunt weenie, just like you, most of you in this fucking room. You got a vagina, what was the vagina spray thing? You can use the vagina shit, just like, Look at this. Now, see, where I come from, you call somebody a cunt, they hit you with a brick. It's not funny that you're a fucking cunt. Don't you get it? You ought to be embarrassed to call yourself men. Not just you, YouTube, all of you. You ought to be fucking embarrassed. But you've never been around a man. That's the problem. What else about the kid? I love that kid. Now he's done 2 of the best deals in 20 years. And I said, if you do it a 3rd time, I'm going to have a fucking heart attack. Okay? If he finds a 3rd Nimrod, I'm moving there. I'm moving there. What else about him?
Get him motivated for real.
Well, he got him. Yeah, he got 2. Well, now that he is got a track record, there's a bunch of guys, groups. Well, fuck, he bought so-and-so group. He bought so-and-so. God damn. They went out, and it's a bitch running those hospitals. He's buying hospitals, and not many hospitals, debt service is covered by free cash flow. That's why he had to get an equity portion. And when you're doing seller finance, you got to get 40 doctors to agree on owner finance. You can't get 2 doctors to agree on anything. So he, inadvertently, he picked a very, very hard one. But he got it done. That coat that he's wearing, that €1,000 coat, sports coat, is more than his net worth was before. He's got a little rotary pin up there, And anything else? Yes, sir.
He sharpened his presentation skills.
Oh God, yes, yeah. Now, I don't know how to speak anything remotely close to Hungarian, but I'm told that he writes really well. His written presentation skills are terrific because he wrote. That's what he did for a living for 20 years. But and he practiced because he was nervous when he went up to first went to Toastmasters. And it's great. It's great training. I think I told you already. Warren Buffett and I only have one thing in common. We both took the sales course from Hill, not Napoleon Hill, but Dale Carnegie. Not Hill. Excuse me. You're right. Dale Carnegie, and he took it in the 50s, and I took it in the 70s. Because in the beginning, Warren couldn't give away his shares in his first fund. I mean, he is the most like the audiences that come through here, personality-wise, introvert. He is, if you want to say, he's the best example, other than he doesn't speak English well, but he's the best example from a personality point of view, because most of the kids can relate to him, where they can't relate to Steve Ballmer, or they can't relate to the other icons that we put forward. They can't even relate to, and I try to pull out people that have been through the program that are successful that you can relate to. If I put everybody up, there's a psycho like I was, I mean, you wouldn't be able to relate to him. But I mean, there's probably not anybody in this room that can't relate in some way to his state in life. Of course, his state in life isn't like your state in life. I mean, he's different now. The paparazzi literally chase him down the streets. He's on the cover of magazines. And he's not a cover magazine kind of guy. Yet he has trouble going to 5-star restaurants. I'm not saying he was going to McDonald's all the time, but whatever one level above McDonald's is. Now you all look stunned. Just a regular guy. But the takeaway, he wasted 6-7 months. Kept trying to cajole, and every week he'd write about it. I go, God damn it, time's running out. You got to push this guy. Tell him to shit or get off the pot. But he wouldn't. And then finally, the guy killed it. He didn't. He was still hoping, wishing, and praying. And finally, the guy gave him a mercy fuck and boomed him in the head, and so he had to move on. And then the second acquisition candidate, They didn't sell him well enough. He took responsibility. He said it was him. And then the third one, of course, now the board's getting desperate. 2 deals, crater. So the third, everybody came together and really hustled and put on the hard clothes, and they got it done. They got it done. Come on, templates. Don't you have anything smart ass to say? Now, see, you are slick compared to him. You know? That's not saying too much for you or him, but I mean, guy, just a regular guy. That's why we wait till the end to show him. And that's, he did that in June this year, I believe. Yes, sir.
I noticed the chairman you recruited, the chairman was able to operate the company.
Yes. He's a former CEO turned chairman. And then when it was obvious he couldn't operate the company, they looked at 2 or 3 CEOs. And a big acquisition like this, you're hoping, keeping your fingers crossed, that the CEO can fill in for the CEO or the CFO can fill in for the CEO, but it didn't happen that way. And so the chairman filled in for 6 months, and the 6 months are now over, and they have a good CEO, and now all he does is go out and look for other deals, and it's a small market, and now everybody knows him. So he's already looking at a year or 2 from now the adjoining countries. And then once you get on a roll of success, like Josh said, they come to him now. And even though Tom's first deal wasn't successful, because in the group that he was in, they're bringing deals to him. Because the accountants and the lawyers know that this team is going to get it done. So they're opening up, and the board are opening up their contacts sooner, even though the first deal didn't close and it was not successful. And then it becomes, this is an exaggeration, a feeding frenzy. But guys, the successful teams you've been part of, either in sales or in athletics, then it's fun, isn't it? This is too. In fact, this is more than good fun because you're putting money in your pocket. And nobody likes you. You want to be liked? Nobody likes you more if you make them rich. But familiarity breeds contempt. You don't get slappy happy with your board, your employees, nobody. I'm last to come to and I don't go to hardly any party. I'm last to come to a party and I'm first to leave. That's good advice to all of you. Be last to get there. In other words, be late and be the first to leave. If you drink tea or whatever, have one drink, preferably a glass of wine, because some of you get drunk on a real drink. A stiff drink and a good fuck could kill everybody in this room. I'll say it again, YouTube, a stiff drink and a good fuck could kill everybody in this room. And you leave, you're first to leave. Oh, yeah, I know, but we've got other things to do. You don't need friends. Friends are problems. Friends are for you to share your misery with. And remember, you're not sharing misery anymore. And you don't share doubts. When you go home and you have a hard day, everything's terrific, honey. Why do you think they don't have more confidence in you? Because they've seen you whine like a bitch. That's why they don't have more confidence in you. And maybe in the movies, when the guy puts his head on his wife's chest, it's crying. Maybe in the movies that works. But in real life, all they do is have disdain for you. Disgust. That turns to hatred. And if you think any different, you're fucking, what are you smoking? And if it's not addictive, give me some. Because I want to smoke it too. Familiarity breeds contempt. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Did he go back to the second hospital after he closed the first deal?
No, but but that's a good point. But it's his third acquisition. Yeah, that's exactly right. Herr Hitler over there was listening. And when I say that, I don't mean it in a disdainful way, because Adolf Hitler might be the highest performance guy that ever was born on the planet. Being high performance doesn't mean you're a good guy. He got more done with less than any human being ever. He got more done with less. A little chicken shit private Austrian from the Second World War to be Chancellor of the Fatherland. So, I mean, when I say it, I mean it's a compliment. Not all the bad things he did. But I mean, from nothing to something, he's a high-performance guy. Any other questions? Okay, YouTube. Oh, another question. From lack of depth.
Because the debt servicing was quite large, he had to bring in an equity investor.
Yeah, but in his case, it was a couple of million euros. It wasn't a big amount of money. But when you buy, when you're buying something for 20, 30, 40 million, somebody wants to see something in the game. You can get away with, you can't get 40 doctors to agree on seller finance. So somebody had to put skin in the game. I thought, intellectually, although I don't know the guy, I know he's a wealthy guy, I thought the chairman was going to do it. But he didn't. A friend of the chairman did it. So that's why. But I mean, it wasn't such a big gap.
How big was the deal?
The first deal, I believe, is 26 million.
So the chairman probably motivated the angel investor.
Well, I don't know that. But it's not a coincidence that the friend of the chairman put the money in. And now the second guy that put up money was a friend of the first guy that put up money. Okay, now finish your question.
So when the angel investor says, okay, I'm going to put in $2 million, but the angel investor knows you have money and he asks you, why don't you put in some money too? And you say, no, I don't want to. What do we say?
Okay, well the answer is, you're not going to need outside equity. I keep telling you that, but you're not listening. You're not going to need outside equity. You won't. But if you have $20 million, it's hard. Or like Donald Trump has billions, and they never asked him why he's not putting up money. I have hundreds of millions, and they never asked me why I'm not putting up money. Because only stupid people put their money up. Only ignorant fucking Chinamen from Canada put their fucking money up. Only ignorant black people from fucking on Ed put their money up. Don't you understand? Nobody uses their own money except stupid poor people. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Just because you don't know anybody. Rockefeller never used his own fucking money. What's wrong with you people? Now I would tell him, why would I put my money when I can get yours? But you gotta have some sacks here. See, mine are pretty big. You gotta have some fucking sacks to say that. Nobody in this room does. But that doesn't mean you think you're fully grown. You can still grow some testicles though. I've grown testicles just like God on people. And I've grown them on women. So they have trouble when they go to squat the pee and they're going to wipe their little willy, and then the things down there, no, what are those things? I'm making all the women wet on YouTube now. You will not need to use your money. But you can tell them the truth. I'm afraid to lose it. You can just tell them the truth because that's the real reason. You're afraid to lose it. Because he doesn't think he can make it again. That's the real reason. But I have rolled my net worth entirely 3 times. 3 times in my life. My entire net worth. And all 3 times I won. Praise fucking Allah. But if I had lost just once, we wouldn't be here today. Okay, YouTube, thank you.